hereby call the March 2nd, 2021 Brockton School Committee to order, it being 7 p.m. If we could please stand and salute our American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I do need to read the following into the minutes to reflect. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and state of emergency, on March 12, 2020, Governor Baker issued an executive order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. Pursuant to the order, public bodies are temporarily relieved from the open meeting law's requirement that meetings be held in public places open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberation through adequate alternative means. This meeting this evening will be held and will be accessible to the public via Brockton Community Access, Brockton Public Schools website, which is www.bpsma.org, YouTube, and Comcast Channel 98. The public can also access this meeting via the following link, which is www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. I do want to welcome everybody back to the little theater here at Brockton High School. It's been a long time, but it's great to see all the school committee members. We're doing it somewhat as a hybrid approach because we do have our visitors via Zoom, and I want to thank Mike and Brockton Community Access, and of course Melinda Campbell and everybody from IT that has been really working diligently. We do have a full agenda this evening, and I will, first of all, read the roll to establish a quorum. The Chair Sullivan is here. The Vice Chair D'Agostino. Here. Ms. Azak. Mrs. Mendez.
Here.
Mr. Menicello.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Here.
Mr. Sullivan.
Here.
Mr. Sullivan.
Here.
We do hereby have a quorum, and of course, we're joined by the esteemed Superintendent Mike Thomas. Before we go into the hearing of visitors, I do just want to recognize really the dedication of our boys and girls, the students here in Brockton Public Schools, and the staff and teachers. As you know, last Tuesday we opened up hybrid for special interest, special needs, SPED students. It was successful, and again, the facilities were unbelievable. This morning, myself and Superintendent and the Vice Chair D'Agostino, Mr. D'Agostino, we went to the Keith Center, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful endeavor. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up to the Superintendent if you have any comments, followed by the Vice Chair, and then we'll go to public comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to just say that Joyce Azak couldn't join us this evening. She had a death in the family, so our condolences on her loss. Also, yes, I want to thank you for meeting me at the Keith this morning. Just going through the schools, it's just seeing the job the teachers are doing. And I knew they were doing a great job in remote and their support staff as well. But going into schools today, seeing them with students in front of them. Today, as you know, was the first day for pre-K, 6th grade and 9th grade. I was able to get to the Key Center. Like the mayor said, the buildings look great. You could tell that the custodians have spent a lot of time. And then what the staff has done, the administrators, the support staff, the teachers, there were balloons, there were streamers, signs welcoming students back. And it was great to see. I headed over to the Plouffe after that, East, the Baker, and the Brookfield, and it was just a joy to see students, the smiling faces. And and I want to just say, I want to thank the school committee because this was the way to return to in-person learning. And you could see that, students were nervous, parents are nervous, everybody's nervous, teachers, support staff nervous about welcoming students back. And to start small this way really helped, and everybody commented on that about how well it went to get students used to the arrival, dismissal process, same with our parents, the buses running, and everything that goes into coming to school. To start this way, I think was a great decision by the school committee, and I appreciate it. And as we add more grades, obviously next week, it was a great opening. And I commend the administrators, the executive team, the schools, the teachers, the support staff, everybody that works in the buildings have done a great job. And it was a great day, another great day. Last week was great, and this week was great as well, so far.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. I'm going to go to Mr. Vice Chairman, Mr. D'Agostino.
Thank you. Yeah, again, we had the pleasure of the three of us started our day at the Keith Center. I want to thank Mrs. Burns and her staff and everybody, the teachers, the kids. We had a chance to talk to teachers and kids, and they were all excited to be back, which I can understand. They haven't had a chance to see each other in so long. After the Keith Center, I headed down to South, and the principal there, Mr. Duarte, was kind enough to take some time and bring me around the school. And again, we stopped into classrooms, and the kids were thrilled to be back. Every student I talked to, they all couldn't have been more excited to be back and be with their teachers and, be back in school. So we also saw there were, teachers who were remote and other kids who were remote, because it is some were at home and some are in school. And it was working really well. So again, from there, I headed down to Kennedy, and Mrs. Camilla was again kind enough to her and Mr. Lamana take me around, and we went and stopped into some classrooms, and of course the kindergartners, they're always so excited about everything, and it's just I think probably the happiest place on the planet is a kindergarten class. So it was really cool to be able to go and visit with some of the kindergartners, and then from there I finished up the morning over at the Hancock and spent some time with Mr. Shaw and some of the teachers and kids, and it was about lunchtime, so they were enjoying lunch, and again, it was a much different setup than I remember ever seeing in the lunchroom at school, with rows of desks safely 6 feet apart, and the kids they had a rope with spots that were 6 feet apart for the kids to grab on so that they could make sure they maintained distance, because of course young kids like that probably don't understand 6 feet, but again, and I bring that up because I just want parents to know all of these things about distancing and safety, and all of those things were thought of, and measures are in place to make sure that we help the kids maintain that. So again, it was a great morning, and I really appreciate the staff and parents and teachers and the kids, of course. This is yet another shift in just a year, where we closed school and kind of on no notice or anything, and sent everybody home and tried to figure that out. And then in September, again, we shifted to all remote, and here's your laptop and Zoom, and that was a big shift, and now here we are again shifting into hybrid, and I have to say that I really appreciate all the effort that takes from everybody, from principals, teachers, parents, the kids. It's a big deal when we make these adjustments, but we'll keep making the changes that are appropriate to make sure everybody's safe and having opportunities to learn. And it was just a great day. Honestly, I was getting back to the office. I was like, I don't want to go to work. I want to go visit another school. But anyway, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. We're going to go on the agenda, which is number 2 now, which is hearing of visitors. And I know we have one visitor tonight, Terry McIntosh, who will be joining us via Zoom.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me as a visitor this evening. Good evening to Ms. Sullivan, Vice Chair Mark D'Agostino, Superintendent Michael Thomas, and to all your school committee members. I thank you for taking a few minutes to listen to me. As a parent, I know I come in front of you throughout the year a couple times. Some of you know me from the Brockton CPAC, but this evening I'm certainly coming before you as a parent of 2 boys that are in your special ed program. COVID hit this family very, very hard, as far as having 2 children, twin boys, that were in integrated classrooms. We got affected more so, I believe, when we went, one child did very well with the remote learning, and one child with his disability did not do as well. No fault to any of the teachers or staff. I mean, they were so, I can't even tell you, but I'll get into that in a minute. But unfortunately, one of my children needed to go from an integrated classroom to the Downey over to the Baker, to a more self-contained classroom. So that was a lot for us as a family to make decisions, especially during the COVID. But he certainly needed to be in a different type of classroom. But to make a long story short, I know you've all just talked about last week and this week how wonderful everything has gone and what it's looking like inside the buildings. But I will be honest, as a parent that you know a particular school and you're comfortable and you know faces, as I said, one of my sons had to go to the Baker. And I can't say enough about the communication between two schools that made a family that, you know, my husband and myself and my two boys feel that we were not alone in this decision by any means, but we were not alone in this transition. It got to the point that, you know, we went over to his new teachers, Mrs. Crean over at the Baker. She's lovely. The staff, the principals from the Downey and the Baker both kind of communicated together for us, because as a parent, you can imagine not even being in a school yourself as a parent, letting your special needs child going into a building that you've never even stepped foot in. They made this family feel so welcomed at that Baker school. We were prepared, we were ready, we were welcomed, and everybody made such an effort that they made it a family affair. Like my son's Jonathan's teacher with third grade integrated, Jill Pistatello, she literally let Jonathan come in school 15 minutes late so he could drive his brother with my husband and I over to his new school. And that may not seem like a big deal, but it was, because we made it a family thing that, you know, we wanted to say goodbye to Christopher. Have a great day. He deserved that. And sending your child into a building you've never even been in, but we were so prepared because of the staff, the communication from every level in the school department. And I can't say enough about that. We drove up to that school there, as you were saying there, balloons and yelling and screaming and, you know, signs everywhere. We were so welcomed by every member. And it was nice to see that leaving a school, the Downey, going into the Baker, my child was not nervous. I left there like, oh my God. He came out of that school, that Baker school, so happy, smiling, and it's like, you know, I have to thank every single staff member that are a part of the Brockton Public Schools, because it was a tough decision and it was not easy. But, you know, I guess what I'm saying, the bottom line is that, you know, you all understand the setups and everything, but being as a parent on the other end, I could not ask for, right from the secretaries, the paras, the teachers, everyone that you just all mentioned, to the, you know, special ed department, whatever office I needed to call, they were calling us saying, you know, oh, you know, welcoming Christopher, or, you know, saying goodbye to him from the Downey. So it could have been such a scary experience for this child, and it wasn't. And I honestly can't thank every staff member in that Downey and Baker school for making this family get through this last year. And it wasn't an easy year, trust me, as we all know. And we all know they need to be in front of the teachers. But, you know, I am home every day, and I have seen what the teachers and staff have done for every student, not just the special ed students. And I can't thank them. I mean, I'm not tech savvy at all. Those teachers were teaching my husband and I how to work computers and do everything. And, you know, I'm just so heartfelt to thank you all, as not even as the community came involved. You know, Mayor Sullivan, once a week we listen to you. read the story all summer long, you know, and all week long, and then the Brockton Public Library, and then the teachers were reading, principals were reading to the children, all during the summer, you know, and I'll make this quick. I just have one more thing to say. You know, nothing is perfect, and, you know, there's been some bumps in the road, but the end result, when I saw my son coming out of that school he's never been in, with the biggest smile on his face, I was like, wow, you know, you all came together as a team, and you always had the children's best interests, and I thank you for that. You had tough decisions to make. Dr. Herman came on each week. My husband and I watched the school committee meetings every week, and I know it was very hard. But I thank you for the decisions that you made. They weren't easy, but they kept our children safe. And they do need to be in front of the teachers, and I know it's happening, and I just want to thank you on how it's panning out. And, you know, it's been a long year, and even when I say the community being so involved, I mean, I'll drive by a school and I'll see one of the school committee members out there, you know, passing out lunches or doing whatever. You all have come together, and what a community to be in. You know, I'm really proud to be a Brocktonian. I grew up in Brockton. I went to school in Brockton, and now to see this all coming together, it could have been, I don't know, but it just turned out to be the light at the end of the tunnel. To me, last week, seeing my child, it came out to be the rainbow, and I thank you all. And, you know, I will be honest, in June, school ended, and I was kind of like, okay, this is great, we'll get a break from Zoom, you know, and I get, you know, an email from Laurie Mason, Terry, I want to make sure we have CPAC meetings during the summer, and I'm like, oh boy. So it didn't end. The communication didn't end. We were in the Berkshires as my family at a log cabin, and July or August, I think it was, and Laurie wanted to have it because she wanted to keep the parents involved and let them know there are a lot of questions and let them know that we were still there part of the CPAC. But, you know, a lot of people had a lot of questions, and she was concerned and wanted to make sure their questions would be answered and keep them, you know, up to date, because it was very scary for all parents and, of course, special ed parents as well. And so I go to the camp. You know, we go all the way to the Berkshires, and I said to my husband, oh my God, we have to go back. I got to grab our laptop. He's like, no, we said no laptops. This is going to be a nice family time. I said, oh no, we have a CPAC meeting. He's like, oh boy. So we go all the way to the Berkshires. I set up the thing. So I had to go to knock at the guy's door that rents the beautiful log cabins out. I'm like, I can't get on. I have a very important meeting in Brockton, Mass. that I need to, you know, get on. And he's like, well, it's going to cost you $5.50 for internet. I said, well, we'll do it. But this is what I'm saying. It didn't just stop in June when school ended. Your teachers, your department heads, everyone, and all of you just kept us all together, that it truly became a team and a community. And I'm very proud to be a parent of the Brockton School Department. And, you know, in having two children with special needs, I thank you all for all the decisions you have made, and I know they have not been easy. And I just wanted to come on as a parent and thank you all very, very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McIntosh, and we really appreciate you taking the time and sharing that story. And we wish you and your family all the best, and thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now go on to agenda item number 3, which is the consent agenda. Again, it's A through G. I don't know if there's any members of the school committee that want to take any of these out, or do we take them collectively? Mr. Sullivan, please.
Item A.
A. Nobody else? Okay. So,
I'm sorry. Item
D and E. Okay. So B, C,
No,
E, F, and G. Nope.
B, D, and E, right?
C.
Oh, no, it was A. A, D, and E.
Typo in the letter.
Yeah, there is. E, F, G. There should be an H. Okay.
Yeah, we've got 2 Fs.
Yeah. So A was taken up by Mr. Sullivan. We'll go with that one first. Mr. Sullivan, A, please.
Yes. The bid review subcommittee meeting met on February 24th, 2021, on Zoom. There was only one item on the agenda, which was the lease of the general warehouse space. It was a 5-year lease for 59,000 square feet at the Farm America Center on Pearl Street. At 4 p.m., the meeting was called to order, and a check for quorum was held. The governor's COVID-19 open meeting law was read. Chair Tim Sullivan and Judy Sullivan were present. Also present was Dr. Jim Cobbs, Aldo Petronio, the CFO, and Mike Bandus. A motion was made by Judy Sullivan, seconded by Tim Sullivan. The motion was voted unanimous. The motion was to send the matter favorably to the Finance Committee for further consideration. The meeting was adjourned at 4:16 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any questions for Mr. Sullivan on that? If not, we'll entertain a motion, please. Comment?
On the motion.
Sure.
The Finance Subcommittee has been booked for next Tuesday night, and that'll be one of the items on the agenda.
Thank you. Thank you for that point of information. Relative to A, could I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion to approve as written.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Minicello. I'll read the roll. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Hereby passes. We'll now go on to B, C, F, G, and H. Anybody want to entertain a motion on that or any conversation relative to those matters?
Motion to approve as written.
Second.
So motion made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Mrs. Sullivan. Again, B is the authorization to submit application for Gateway City grants for high-quality intensive English language learning programs, all levels. C is the authorization to submit application for grants for higher quality intensive English language learning programs, all levels. F is acceptance of notification personnel appointments certified. G, acceptance of notification personnel appointments non-certified. And H is acceptance of notification personnel actions, leaves of absences, resignations, and retirements. I'll read the roll now. Chair says yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Hereby passes. And the last matters are Mr. Vice Chairman D'Agostino, D and E.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, as we often do on the school committee, anytime there's a scholarship that comes before us, you know, one of us generally likes to point that out. So tonight we have 2 scholarships before us. And I know, and I also timely to mention this for our juniors and seniors, to be looking at all of the scholarship opportunities. There's just a ton of them available. But first we have the Annette Roy Memorial Scholarship. $10,000, $2,500 per year for 4 years, with the student keeping a 2.7 GPA. For eligibility, student graduating from Brockton High, accepted into accredited college or university. Scholarship will be awarded on the basis of need and merit. The next one, the Carl Springhetti Memorial Scholarship. 2 annual scholarships of $1,000 each, with a $20,000 initial endowment. Minority candidates graduating from Brockton High School or Southeastern Regional Vocational Technical High School and accepted to an accredited 2 or 4-year college or university or accredited technical school or apprentice program. Scholarship award based on need, merit. Candidate must be a Brockton resident. So again, I just wanted to mention those two items, as you know, a lot of our students, they certainly rely on these scholarships, and again, hope that our juniors and seniors will look into what's available to them and avail themselves of it. So, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Thank you. Any questions relative to those 2 matters? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve item D and E.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. D'Agostino, was seconded by Mr. Sullivan. I'll read the roll. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Hereby passes D and E. We will now go on to agenda item 4, which is the report of the superintendent of schools.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We covered a report of hybrid open. I'll just add a couple of items. I want to thank the Parent Information Center and Peggy Kalea, who is our transportation supervisor, for the job that she has done with First Student. First Student has all the vans were rolling and buses were rolling when we were ready, and that wasn't an easy feat because a lot of their drivers have been off in other districts driving for a very long time, obviously since the start of the school year. But when they were called to duty here in Brockton, they have responded, and I want to thank Peggy Kalea for setting up all the routes, and they change daily depending, as when you're coming to school at 25%. There's some bus stops where there's no students, so to make it more convenient for parents, she adjusted bus stops so they were closer. She goes through every address to make sure the bus stops are in places where it's easier for students to walk. She also has to make sure that the bus stops are in safe locations as far as intersections and things like that. So I want to thank her for her hard work, and she has done an amazing job with our transportation for a very long time. So I want to thank Peggy for all that hard work. And again, just going into classrooms today and teachers, the job they're doing now that they have students in front of them. We saw teachers with the students in front of them and then students on Zoom or Teams, and they were teaching both, and it was amazing to see. And it will take a while to get the hang of in-person with students at home, but I don't think it's going to take our teachers too long, because you could see already today on the first day the job that they were doing. So again, I just want to thank the school committee for support and the job you've done over the last year supporting us and making sure that these last 2 weeks and then for the next 2 that we were ready to open, and the support you've put behind myself, the executive team, and all the staff in the Brockton Public Schools has been amazing. And like Mrs. McIntosh says, it's clearly evident of the hard work that everybody and how everybody works together, and it's evident in the relationships we have with our unions to be able to get through this and very difficult decisions, but you've done a great job making them, and it's always been in the best interest of the safety and health of the students, their families, and our staff. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
Next, we have our Director of Special Education, Laurie Mason, is going to zoom in and talk to us about the return of our students with disabilities. She here?
Hi, how are you, everyone? I just have to say, I love working in special education, but this last week and today, having the ability to go out and visit classrooms, I was so proud to be the Director of Special Ed for the City of Brockton, for the Brockton Public Schools. It was such an experience for me to be, I haven't been in schools for over a year. It was great to get into the buildings, see the kids. Thank you, Superintendent Thomas, for letting me do that. I've been to most of the schools. I still have about 3 to go to, but and as everyone has already said, it's great to see the kids, great to see the staff, and everyone's doing a great job. I think we made the right decision in the transition back with our students with disabilities in a hybrid model. It's a nice transition. The classrooms were small. The teachers and staff are getting to know the kids again, or get to know the kids in person. The students are learning how to keep a mask on, social distancing. So we definitely made the right decision in that hybrid model. The teachers are really excited to have the kids in front of them. But I do have a little story about the superintendent and myself, if you don't mind, Mike. So I meet him. I go to East Middle School today. He's at East Middle School. Like, oh, this is great. Let's go visit one of the classrooms. Now, I'm thinking, oh, I know a lot of the kids. I know the teachers. All the kids are going to be like throwing themselves at me. Oh, no. We walk in to a classroom, and they say, who's that? I go, this is Mr. Thomas, the superintendent. Well, they kind of pushed me to the side. One student in particular was like, Mr. Thomas, can I have my picture? Oh, we had like a photo session. The kids were taking pictures with the superintendent. And Mike, I didn't even have a chance to tell you this, but they talked about that visit all day long. And they couldn't wait to go home and talk to their parents about the superintendent taking time out of his day to visit with them. And I said to the teacher, what about me? but it was all about the superintendent visiting him. But it was just such a great experience. And again, I think we made the right decision with the hybrid model. And I'm looking forward to visiting I think I have 3 schools left to go. And I think the superintendent, there's so many people behind the scenes that put this together for the kids. But when you walk in the building and you're greeted by principals and gen ed teachers are jumping out saying, oh my God, this is great, kids are back. And the special ed teachers and staff working hard. It was, I have been elated. I have been so happy that the kids are back. I go up to the schools and just come back to the office, and I'm just thrilled. And I can't wait for the kids to come back 4 days a week, but we have some time to plan for that. But it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laurie. Any questions for Laurie at all from any members of the committee? Mr. Sullivan, please.
Lori, you still there?
Hello? Yep.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how many parents chose to stay remote on the special needs?
Staying remote?
Yeah, how many parents are staying remote, special needs?
Well, and I have to say the number keeps fluctuating because some of the parents were apprehensive. Every day we have kids joining, saying that parents calling saying we're moving from remote to in person. I can get an accurate number for you.
I was just wondering.
But for the most part, if most of the classes have between 8 and 12 students in our sub-separate classes, I would say more than half are attending school.
That's good.
So there may be 2 or 3 kids per classroom that are staying remote. But I do think that number is going to change as we go on. More people get vaccinated.
Right.
The kids are seeing kids in the classroom, and I think that's what's getting them really excited to come back to school. But I can get an exact number, Mr. Sullivan.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions for Laurie? Thank you very much, Laurie.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. So next, we have the Director of the School Registration and Parent Information Center, Ms. Marciandra Serpa. She has an update on our K-registration information in our new online registration system.
Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. It's hard to think that a year ago I stood before you and presented, and we were so excited to welcome our youngest students into Brockton, and we had to close due to COVID the very day that we were set to welcome our families into registration. So this is a new year. Here we are a year later, and we have a beautiful opportunity again to welcome our families into Brockton. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. So our kindergarten registration process starts March 16th. We are using a brand new online registration system. It is part of our Infinite Campus online portal. So the Infinite Campus is our student information system for the district, and it's integrated through that. So again, our online registrations will begin March 16th for kindergartners.
Ms. Andrade Serpa?
Can you hear that?
We can't see the screen.
Yeah, we don't see the screen share.
You can't. Okay. Sorry about that. All right.
There we go.
You see that? Okay.
There you
So our Infinite Campus online registration portal is available to families 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can do this at the comfort of their own home. It is available in English, Francais, Portuguese, and Espanol. They begin by selecting their preferred language. Here, they're directed to the online registration kiosk, and they click here to start a new registration. This first page is for information regarding the parent and guardian. This sets up their account, their registration. And so as they complete the different fields here, they have to check that they are indeed not a robot. And
Marcia,
then they will be, I'm sorry?
Marcia, you don't have to then go and pick out the stoplights, do you, in like a pictures?
Well, I'm not sure.
Can you eliminate that option?
This is sensitive information.
Please
so-
disable that option if we have it.
Okay, well, we'll definitely check. But for the most part, we've seen this CAPTCHA, just the I'm not a robot, and they're able to begin registration. And so, of course, I haven't completed any of the fields, so it won't let me move forward. But the process here is really well integrated, and the families, again, if you are selecting the Portuguese language as your preferred language, all of your questions come in the Portuguese language. If it's in Spanish, here they are, and in French, all the questions are then asked in French. So, and this was Infinite Campus does have its own product, and we customized it to make sense for our families. So this was quite the labor of love. We had a lot of people committed to supporting this effort, primarily, certainly the superintendent who gave us the go a year ago. It's taken about that much time to customize it here to our needs. Kevin DuPont, the Director of Instructional Technology, he and I have been working hard to get this customized and ready for our families. So our families will be doing an online registration. And again, this isn't just for kindergarten, this is for all of our families. So I'm hoping to share my screen once again. Okay, so part of the registration, as you are aware, they have to submit documents. So we need copies of birth certificates, parent information, contact information, proof of residency, various documents that are part of the registration process. All of this is clearly labeled and clearly stated on our registration tab. We also have videos that have been done in all the 4 major languages. And so as parents are completing the registration online, they're going to be required to submit documents. There won't be the need to come directly into the registration center. They can be sent and submitted through fax. It can be directly uploaded into the system. It can be also sent by email, or it can be texted to one of the registration specialists. And then certainly we do have the window in the back. So if parents are interested in dropping off, they're able to drop off their documents as well. But there are many ways in which parents can submit the forms. And as I've been reminded, this generation of parents, I'm not sure if they're millennials or Gen X's or whatever they are, but they've been uploading documents for a very long time. Many of our families take pictures on their cameras, on their phones. They take a picture, they're able to text a picture. It's as simple as that. So we have sort of looked at all areas here to try to make sure that this was accessible to our families. Again, if they have any questions throughout the online process, they can communicate with our staff. My staff speak many languages, including Mandarin, Portuguese, Spanish, French, Haitian Creole, Cape Verdean Creole, and certainly if we have families that have another language, we're able to help them through other resources. So we look very much forward to welcoming our families through this process and supporting them through this process. As I mentioned, our website, bpsma.org, has everything that they need to know on through kindergarten registration by clicking kindergarten registration. And then if they are interested in learning about our dual language lottery, for example, there's lots of information, including a new presentation submitted by our bilingual department, Vula Rumis. And we're hoping to get some information about pre-kindergarten from you all actually in a few weeks. So we'll update the website as we move forward. So for upcoming dates, again, we have the dual language programs that we are going to be having a dual language lottery. As you know, there are premium seats. So families are very much interested in having the opportunity to have students participate in learning two languages at once. So whether it's the Unidos program in Portuguese or the Juntos program in Spanish or the Amitié in French, these programs are certainly at a premium, and we hold a lottery annually. That lottery will be held June 1st. So we have that upcoming. We also, prior to that lottery, will have a kindergarten showcase available through live on our website, and that will be held March 8th at 10 a.m. And then again, a second showcase March 10th at 6 p.m. So I'm going to, okay. So we have, in addition to getting all of our students in and enrolling them, the online registration portal also offers this opportunity for us to create parent portals. So parents will be able to look right at the information that they have on their screen for their child. So if I'm a 5th grade parent and I'm not sure exactly who I have on emergency form, if you will, it's the new virtual or the new digital emergency form. So it is our information that we hold in our schools, and so parents will be able to update that. Once they have a parent portal account, and that's what this online registration process, through this process, we will be automatically creating new parent portal accounts for our families. And that way, at any point in the year, if a parent needs to change a phone number or change a different contact person, they'll be able to do that, again, from the comfort of their own home. So this really has some great opportunities for us as a district. Part of the online registration, parents will also be able to click on our handbook, our student handbooks. So it'll be right integrated within the online system, and parents will be able to click, they'll be able to sign off, and we'll have record of that. So that will also not require us to print thousands and thousands of handbooks. This is a new digital age, right? 2021, and we're coming at you. So Brockton Public Schools, we're moving in that direction, and we're thrilled to be able to offer this to our families. Again, this is an integrated system with our current student information system, and I think it's going to be a really a game changer, honestly. So if you have any questions, I'd be remiss if I didn't say 2 other things, please. Superintendent Thomas commented on Peggy Calais and her work through transportation. She is my suite mate. She's next door to me, and she works tirelessly, and she has done a phenomenal job getting our vans ready for our children and our buses coming in. And when she first sent out the messages to the families to let them know about
that they have a bus stop and where they are and when they're going to start. Let me tell you, she got the cutest messages back. They were so excited to start school. So I'm not at all surprised to hear that it went beautifully, because I know there was such an effort from every level, just as Ms. McIntosh said, from every level in the district. I think a lot of people are really eager to see our kids back in school, and even though there's some anxiety, I know that it's a great place for kids to be, and it's just so exciting to see that we're moving in that direction. So there's hope out there. The other comment I'd like to make is I'm thrilled again this year. The Brockton Public Library partnered with us last year to provide a beautiful book to our incoming kindergartners, and they've agreed to do that again this year. So they're partnering with us. It is a local author, Peter Reynolds. It's a beautiful book with an inspiring message, and his illustrations are diverse and inclusive and certainly represent our beautiful students in Brockton. So we're thrilled to be able to have that available to our incoming kindergartners again this year. If you have any questions for me on the online registration system or on kindergarten registration, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Ms. Serpa. Any questions for members of the committee? Mr. D'Agostino, please.
Yeah, hi. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thank you for coming and for all your hard work that you and your staff are doing. I know things are about to get really busy for you guys getting kids registered for next year. So I just was wondering, on Infinite Campus, when you showed the languages that are available, is it possible to have, Haitian or Cape Verdean Creole? I mean, just being that those are both such largely spoken languages in the city.
I'm not sure if I heard correctly. You said that we did the 4 major languages. That was our staff in our district that translated the entire program into those 4 languages.
Okay.
Is that what your question was?
Sort of. I was wondering, I didn't know if that was an out-of-the-box option that you get with Infinite Campus to just have it in different languages. So it sounds like we had to manually, your staff, translate that.
So the entire system was translated into Portuguese, Spanish, French, and English.
So, Marcia, I think that, just to be clear, I think it's the Portuguese is translated by our staff to fit Cape Verdean Creole families, correct?
So, okay.
They would use the Portuguese?
That's kind of where I was
So
going.
if you are a Cape Verdean Creole speaker, you learned Portuguese in school. It is the Portuguese written language is what it was translated into.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's why I was asking. All right. I didn't realize.
And for Haitian Creole, it's the French.
Oh, all right.
Correct.
All right. Perfect.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's
I didn't realize
Sorry,
that. So
I didn't think I understood that well.
No, that's all right. It's probably the way I asked it. I apologize. Thank you. That's exactly what I needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Any additional questions for Ms. Serpa? Thank you very much, Marcia.
No, thank you so much. And again, a huge shout out to the entire team at my office. We're very eager and ready to welcome our newest kindergartners to Brockton Public Schools. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for the hard work you've done. We appreciate it. Next, we have a presentation about the Promise High School development from Dr. Kelly Silva, Dr. Michael Robinson, and Sharon Wolder. They're all with us this evening. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Silva.
So I hope I can do this right. I want to thank everybody for having us here tonight to present to you about Promise College and Career Academy. This will be the second time I've shared a screen before, so hopefully it works. It did work? Okay.
Yes.
All right. It's not working on my home. Okay. So before I begin, it's important to note that we did not design a school for students. We designed a student-centered high school with and for students who are looking to engage and connect to learning in a small learning environment where student interest is a top priority. So based on our surveys and focus groups and interviews, we learned what students want and need. Students wanted voice and choice. They wanted a smaller learning environment, a blended learning model that included face-to-face and online learning. They wanted to engage and connect to learning and people. They wanted project-based and real-world learning experiences that engage them in instruction and connected to their life currently and to their future. They wanted internships and mentorship. They wanted college and career and life readiness. And they wanted positive supportive relationships with staff and their peers. To achieve our goal of promoting resilience, opportunity, and meaningful instruction for student-centered education, we use research, stakeholder engagement, and model site visits to identify the following pillars of student success: a primary person advisory model, financial literacy, post-secondary planning, rigorous, relevant, and engaging learning experiences, and mastery-based learning. Promise will implement an advisory program to foster meaningful relationships with students, engage students in what is possible beyond high school, and create an avenue for families to be actively engaged in the academic lives of their students. Advisory has been found to increase self-esteem, academic engagement, attendance and grades, and decrease disruptive behaviors, suspensions, and dropout rates. A sample schedule would be on Monday, a student would meet with their advisor in a one-to-one conference and establish an academic or social emotional learning SMART goal. And then they could devise a plan on how they were going to achieve this SMART goal. On Wednesday, the student would meet with the advisor again for a quick check-in to discuss the student's progress towards meeting the goal, ask if individualized supports are needed, or, sometimes congratulate them in the progress that they've made towards achieving that goal. On Fridays, a student could participate in a full advisory class that's guided by topics identified by the students themselves. But the ultimate goal of advisory is that every Promise student will be able to say that there's at least one adult in the building who they deeply trust and can turn to for support. To truly be college and career ready, students need a strong foundation in financial literacy. In addition to being recognized as a critical high school course by students and families, everyone said that this is a must. Financial literacy lays the foundation for students to build strong money habits early on and avoid many mistakes that lead to lifelong money struggles. Every Promise student will take a financial literacy course each year with a focus on topics such as personal financial management, budgeting, investing, and credit. Students will have an opportunity to apply these concepts to everyday life, such as buying a home, financing a car, and investing in the stock market. But financial literacy is not the responsibility of one teacher, and it will be embedded in all core content areas. For instance, in a history class, students may evaluate the function and value of money in the United States, while in an English class, they might determine the different perceptions of risk based on age, culture, and social status. And there's also a social emotional learning connection where students may evaluate strategies individuals use to maintain or manage emotions impacting financial decisions. Growing up, when I was going to school, I was told that you were either destined for college or career, and that mindset continues to exist. But I promise this is not the case. Our students are not going to be forced to choose between college or career after graduation, because our model will support them and prepare them for any path that they choose. This includes applying to colleges, financial aid, college visits, and drafting a college essay. And that's actually one of the first learning experiences they will have in the 9th grade, is creating a college essay that they will revisit when it's time for their junior year. Students will also participate in career electives ranging from career awareness to career training. And to complement these experiences, students will learn from outside professionals and presenters that are connected to their area of interest in the curriculum. A lot of these opportunities are going to be connected to what we call our transformative learning experiences, or TLEs, which Mike will talk about next.
So transformative learning experiences are the signature component, excuse me, Promise High School, Promise College and Career High Academy. The transformative learning experience is different from your traditional learning in that whereas the traditional learning model is classroom centered, maybe worksheet heavy, and based on a lot of what ifs and could be's, the transformative learning experience takes all of the standards and practices and embeds them into an actual exploration of the students' culture and community environments. The transformative learning experience, or TLEs, what we'll call them, they range in experience in multiple TLEs for each subject. In our catalog, we have transformative learning experiences, or TLEs, that focus on financial literacy and components in math. There are some that look at producing edible plants, in a home environment, in an urban environment, in an apartment, or porch or backyard. There are countless that incorporate cultural components and creating healthy meals, taken from traditions that are found in the homes, and looking at the nutrient content and creating like a recipe that you go out into the community and have people sample. So these are real world experiences. They incorporate all of the learning standards and strands, and they have the students going out of the classroom environment and working with actual experts, developing academic as well as soft skills and competencies. For instance, in our introduction to this, we learned about the Poetry Slam. We were in a conference room, in came two gentlemen, and they immediately began reciting a phenomenal poem. They then hit us with the driving question, or actually we learned that we were going to be doing this. They presented a driving question. We went over the analysis and anatomy of a poem. We crafted our own slam poetry pieces. We engaged in a literary analysis process of our own poem. And then we actually went to a venue in Boston and people performed live. So they went from sitting in a conference, engaged in a training, to actually being trained slam poets. And so this way, students are placed in the real world position of a practitioner and developing those skills that they could actually use in their environment. So transformative learning experiences are high quality, project-based units designed to ignite a love of learning, foster rigorous thinking, and make learning relevant and engaging for students. TLEs provide students opportunities to develop identity, form authentic connections, find purpose, master competencies that are meaningful, and linked to their goals for the future. Now, we also incorporate a competency-based, mastery-based model, a learning model. In the traditional classroom, the classroom follows a calendar. Students are seated, and you spend 2 weeks on this concept, maybe a month on that concept, and you continue this process until from September through June. In a mastery-based model, it's different. It's differentiated. It's very well supported. And its goal is to seek mastery. In a traditional model, if a kid is learning about biology, and the end product is looking at heart disease and understanding the human heart, they are able to move prior to gaining mastery. In order to understand the heart and disease, you got to understand cell biology. In a mastery-based model, we work with kids and differentiate and support them where they are until, we work with them, getting them to the mastery level. Once they do that, they move. And this model offers flexibility. In one classroom, you can have a group of students who are far ahead. And the support system is set up so that we can work with them in developing their mastery, resulting in them maybe entering the next course in the sequence of science classes. Students that are at the traditional pace are supported, and students that may be behind get all of the adequate supports 24/7 in classroom and out, and attain mastery that way. So when they do get to the aspect dealing with the heart, they approach it with mastery. They have a very solid understanding of what it is and what the next move is, and our students being prepared to be the next person to develop a great vaccine. So the mastery model looks at ensuring that students are proficient in each concept before they move on, and they're supported to ensure that they do. And those that are ahead are able to move ahead, and those that are on grade level are able to move at the traditional pace. And this way, it's a very tailored learning model that promotes actual proficiency.
Any questions?
Thank you both doctors. Really detailed information. We appreciate it. Any questions for any members of the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you
again.
both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the hard work. Okay, next, we have a presentation of our fine arts programs by Director of Art, Sarah Richards, new Director of Music, Mr. Michael Smith, our Choral Director, Mr. Matt Cunningham, our Drama Director, Mr. Robert Hogan, and our Band Director, Mr. Kevin Cardell. And just, they're going to cover the activities they've done since we closed last March 12th, what's been done so far. And I'm happy to announce that today, the Department of Education updated the guidelines for singing inside. It has not been allowed. And now we are allowed to sing inside as long as the students wear masks and are 10 feet away. I went through the auditorium. That's the same for instruments as well. We've bought all the PPE, and you could see in the auditorium all the stands are spread out. So the music stands, the music note stands are spread out at that 10 feet apart. So we can allow now for inside for singing and also instruments. So I want to welcome everyone today, and I'll let them present.
First of all, good evening, everyone. I'm going to let Sarah start us off, and she's going to take us through art and theater, and then I will come in, and then we'll hear from Matt and then Kevin. Sarah, all yours.
Michael, let me go first. Could I say one thing? Sure. I think this is the first time we've had Michael with us. So obviously, Michael is our new music director following our legend, Vinnie Macrina, who's actually still with us, obviously, working very hard still. And he's been a huge support for Michael. So we welcome Michael. It's not easy starting a job, first of all, taking over a legend, second of all, doing it in a pandemic. So we appreciate your hard work, getting used to the new job, but also working closely with Vinny and all the other staff members. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much. The district has made me feel welcome. I appreciate every opportunity to work with this fine group of people. So thank you very much.
Good evening, and thank you for having us. I'm excited to share with you what's been happening in the art department, really starting last year this time. First, I wanted to say how proud I am of our teachers and our students. They've been creating meaningful work during this remote period, and that's been a challenge. To teach, visual art and theater remotely is a challenge, and our teachers have really risen to that occasion. I'm going to take you through the visual arts, and then I will ask Mr. Hogan to fill you in on the theater happenings. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. Can you see the screen? Yes. Okay, good. So our teachers have been designing lessons that focus on the social and emotional health of our students, lessons that provide lots of choice and creativity, and lessons that challenge students to express who they are and what's important to them. I'm going to show you work K to 12, and I think you will see that as there's evidence in the work that I'll show you. So let's begin with the elementary. So this is an elementary lesson based on everyday superheroes. Students are asked to identify a person that takes care of them, somebody that's their own personal superhero, especially during this pandemic, and they drew portraits of them. And they shared them with each other. And a lot of the Zoom classes are not only doing the work, but they're talking about their work. They're sharing it with their classmates. They're talking about how they did it and why they chose the person that they did. This is a kindness poster campaign. They all work together to make posters to encourage each other to be kind to each other. And it really built class community amongst the elementary students. Also in the elementary, our kids have different supplies at home. We've sent some supplies home. So we've really had to be flexible with allowing kids to use different materials to express that they've mastered a concept. So this is these are elementary color wheels. You can see the first one's done in crayon, pretty traditional. The second one in the middle is a color wheel made out of hair scrunchies. And the third one is a color wheel made out of fruit. So the idea that they really feel empowered to use what's around them to express their knowledge and be creative. Also, our 3rd and 5th grade traditionally go to the Fuller Craft Museum every year for tours. We've done it virtually this year. The museum has been wonderful. They have a bunch of museum educators that have been coming into our 3rd grade classes and running tours. They've been touring this exhibit here. It's Where I Sit, and it's crafted chairs. The 5th grades will start soon. We're just finishing up the 3rd grade, and that's just been going really, really well. This is some middle school work, some landscapes. This is more middle school work. We've also been giving lots of, so they may have a landscape assignment, but they can use colored pencil, they can use paint if they have it, they can use their computer. There's a basic 3D paint program and all the computers that we've sent home, so some kids have been using that. So really kids having that independent choice within the assignment. They've even been making artwork in reaction to the Black Lives Matter movement and the pandemic itself, kind of expressing their feelings and what's been going on in their lives. This is our high school work. Our high school continue to just be so dedicated and do an amazing job. They've been coming in and getting supplies. These are some self-portraits. You know, there's one in pencil, one in digital, and one in paint. These are some, one's an observational painting, one's observational drawing. This is a drawing and painting 1 class. Some of these kids have never met their art, you know, their high school art teacher, and this is what they've been working on. So I was just really impressed with these 2. This is some photography. I have some texture photography on the left and portrait photography on the right. On the left, you have a student's interpretation of the Black Lives Matter movement, and on the right, you have an interpretation of our life in the pandemic. So we're really trying to ask them to express what's going on with them, what's important to them. So that's just a sampling of some of the things that are going on in our department, in the visual art part of the department. You can always follow us on Facebook. You can see kind of updates of teachers post on there regularly, things that are happening in their classroom. In the spring, we are planning a virtual art show for K to 8 and 9 to 11. And then the senior show, we're planning something really special with the Fuller Craft Museum. Traditionally, every other year we do a Brockton Youth Create show over there. So we're scheduled to do that this summer. So we're going to change that into a senior art show. Because these seniors, these art students are seniors this year, they didn't get their junior art show either. So we really want to make something very, very special for them. And we're hoping it'll be up July and August. We can have a reception by the end of August. Hopefully we'll be able to get together and just make something really, really special for them. I'm very proud of the work. I'm proud of the creative thinking and the problem solving that our students are doing. I'm really looking forward to having them back in the class and to be able to have them have all the materials that we have available for them. And now I'm going to ask Mr. Hogan to share all the wonderful, exciting things that are happening in the theater program.
Thank you so much, Ms. Richards, and thank you to the school committee for having us here. We're also passionate about our own disciplines within the arts programs, and we're so excited to share what we've been doing and what we plan on doing in the upcoming spring with our students. So a little bit about Bhs Theater and where we started in this particular year. First and foremost, we really miss our little theater, and we miss our auditorium, and we miss our presentations that we have been able to do for so many years in there. But we knew right away in the fall that we couldn't let it go, and we had to do whatever it took to make things happen. And it was going to happen virtually. We had 60 students, 60 students sign up with us initially that wanted to work in our drama program. And we knew right away, with the numbers being so high, with students that wanted to be involved, both actors and technicians behind the scenes, that we needed to do something virtually, and we needed to do something that was in great offering for a lot of students and would really get a lot of buy-in. So we started looking at the Metg scholarship program, which you see as the first bullet, and we entered in multiple arenas with our students. We entered in our monologue acting contest. We entered in our scene partnership contest. We entered in our technical contest for technical theater, and Brockton was only one of 2 programs in the state of Massachusetts that were recognized in all 3 areas for excellence in theater. And we were really proud of that. We had students that received scholarship money for this, and we had students that also got some wonderful recognition within the state. So we were really excited about that. We went into an audition process from there, knowing we had so many students that wanted to join our program. We knew we had to pick some shows that were going to be done virtually, and we needed some large casts, so we selected 2. And you can see those 2 as we get down into some bullet points. The first one is Help Desk, and that was actually a visual and virtual show that we just produced this past Saturday. It was streaming for 24 hours. It had a cast and crew of 50 students, that's 50, and we were really proud of it. It was a comedy about what happens in this current virtual world where everybody's home and everybody's calling into a help desk needing for some help and some assistance. And of course it was a comedy because we all need something light right now and something fun to work on. And that's exactly what the kids got in this kind of performance. We do have another performance coming up in a few weeks. It's called 10 Ways to Quarantine, which is also very topical. We really chose some topical pieces because we felt they really related and they resonated with the kids, they resonated with community members, and we know these 2 virtual shows would be appealing to our community. Prior to that, we did a holiday performance video just as a drama club unit together, just as a feeling of lifting up our community, because at that time our numbers were really high, everybody was so scared, and we knew we needed to just band together as a group of 60 people and do a holiday performance. And so that's what we did, and we sent that out through the BPS network, and we really appreciated that feedback. Following our 2 virtual shows, these are things that are upcoming. First, we're going to be having a DEI presentation sponsored by the Metg. The Metg stands for the Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild, which we're a proud member of. And we are leading and paving the way as far as DEI goes for theater in the state of Massachusetts. In fact, a lot of schools are currently looking at us and our program and what we're doing. And I signed on this past summer as a chairperson for the DEI group of theater in the state of Massachusetts. And we are going to have a panel of former Brockton High School students. We have our current Miss Massachusetts USA. We have a backup performer with the Jonas Brothers right now. We have some Broadway performers who are in New York City. We have some LA actors that are out there. We just have a lot of people, as well as an executive producer on a Netflix series right now. We're going to gather those people together and do a huge panel, not only for Brockton and Brockton students, but for the entire state of Massachusetts in theater, so that kids can see what is happening with these 5 in particular students and where they've gone in their career paths. And they've all come from Brockton High School. So we're really excited to be able to share that and be a center of focus in the state of Massachusetts. Following that, they are hosting, we're hoping and crossing our fingers, an in-person 10-minute play festival, and they're looking at hosting that in later May, beginning of June, where we can take a small number of students and actually in person get to watch some plays happening outside at an outside festival, where of course social distancing would happen and the like. But that is in the works as well, as is the biggest component of our drama year for much of our community, which you can see there is our musical presentation and musical performance. We absolutely will be having a musical performance of some sort this year in the end of May 2021. Our seniors last year, unfortunately in 2020, didn't get that luxury. We feel terrible about that. I mean, our staff and the team that works with me, we were devastated by that, and we still are devastated by that. But we absolutely said we have to have a musical presentation. No if, and, or but. We'll do it wherever we need to do it to make sure it works. And the superintendent has been very generous in talking with us about that. And we are going to move forward with that. In fact, we're going to have a meeting in the next few weeks, and auditions will be starting for our big musical presentation also within the next few weeks. And finally, to wrap up our year in drama, as we always do, we have our drama awards in the end of the year to honor our seniors, and hopefully again that will be in person since we are able to go back to school. The reason we didn't do the in-person meeting back in the fall was we just had too many students within our own drama program and club to be able to feel like it was a comfortable feeling to be able to do that back in the fall. That's why we chose to do the virtual performances that we did. But we thank you, and we thank you for all your support, as always, for all the arts programs in Brockton. Brockton's really fortunate to have all of you supporting us. So thank you, appreciate it. And thanks, Ms. Richards.
I didn't know if anyone had questions for Mr. Hogan or myself before we move on to music. Take it away, Mike.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you all. Yeah, so just to go back to the musical, as you know, that's one of our huge, our biggest performances every year. So we spoke last week when we met, and we are going to do an in-person musical. We're going to look at any option we can possibly use, and that could be Marciano Stadium, setting up a stage in the middle of Marciano Stadium to have the spring musical. That's one of the options that the team is looking at. And I said, obviously, the school committee, there are resources connected with, obviously, COVID. We would rent the stage we needed and lighting and everything else, and obviously a stereo system, so whatever it takes. Obviously, I said the school committee was behind it 100%, so I want to let parents and students know that we will be having a musical this year that obviously was not allowed last year, but we'll probably use the stadium, but I'll leave it up to the experts. I'm far from anything to do with music, but they have been given the go-ahead to make sure they plan that spring musical this year.
Mr. Minicello.
Hi there. Good evening, and thank you for the information that you provided. I'd just like to say, with regard to the school committee in general, as a body, we all support the activities that are available for our students, and we all know how important the sports activities have been, and we certainly all share the same basically feeling that our students in the arts, music, drama, deserve those same opportunities, and we are very grateful for what you all have been able to do. It's refreshing to see that now the state has let up with regard to some of the restrictions with regard to music, chorus, instruments. So basically, I think that we're all on board together because we all share that same care for all of our kids, that we want to make sure that our kids have as much opportunity and time to participate in their craft or their love of a certain area. So we will support as a body, whatever is able to be performed and done in a safe manner. So that this body is behind all of you. Many parents have sort of expressed some displeasure with regard to, how come the kids with sports get to participate more or in person than, our kids. There are, quote, one parent, there's winners and losers in this, and it seems like the kids in the band and the singing and the chorus and the arts were on more of a losing end, but that's obviously nothing to do with how we are managing in Brockton, but we just want to make sure that we're behind you 100%, and we are looking forward to moving forward as normal as possible, because our kids do, and those kids in these areas deserve the opportunities and to participate, to move on, to enjoy what they're doing, and certainly to get out of the boring rut that all of us and our students may be experiencing. So we appreciate what you've done, and we're looking forward to moving on with what we can do safely as quickly, and we will basically, as a body, support whatever needs to be done, accommodations to get you what you need to help our students, participate expeditiously. Thank you.
We thank you, because that has been something that we are definitely aware of, that this year has posed many challenges for not only our students, but for our amazing staff. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention each and every one of them stepped up and kept all the students engaged. And in an environment where students were used to having the magic of a sound of them being in the same room, that wasn't quite the same when you had to do it over a computer device. So a lot of the students, a lot of the teachers dug into their resources and came up with a lot of creative ways to make this happen. So I wish to start by saying thank you to all of them, because they definitely rose and met the occasion. In music, one of the things that I wanted to start off with by saying that outside of the challenges that we were proposed with, staff, like I said, rose to meet them. And I'm not going to rehash a lot of things that have been said, but Sarah and Bob have totally alluded to what we're looking to do as far as in the world of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And in fact, this year, the district has purchased books, culturally responsive teaching through music, for all of our music teachers that we will be diving into. So not only are we keeping track of making sure students are engaged, but we're addressing current issues and things that are on the hearts and minds of all our students and families. I'm going to get out of the way now, and I'm going to let Matt Cunningham start off by telling us about what are some of the things that are happening in the Brockton Music Department, as well as in the Vocal Music Department.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Smith. And good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. And thank you for all your support this year. It really means a lot to us. So a few things about the choral program. In regards to our curricular ensembles, the repertory chorus and the concert choir, they've been rehearsing every day on Zoom since the beginning of the school year. And it's been very challenging, as Mr. Smith kind of alluded to, because some people think you can rehearse on Zoom live, but unfortunately you can't because of the audio latency. So everybody is on mute. I'm on the other end with my piano, just leading them like I normally would in rehearsal, but it's forced the students to develop much more independent musicianship. We've had to focus more on vocal technique and music literacy, but they really have been troopers and have done a remarkable job up to this point. And it was so encouraging and exciting today to have students in front of me and to hear them sing. With repertory chorus, I had 3 students in front of me, and they were all in different parts. I had a soprano 1, a soprano 2, and an alto, which is so challenging to hear, no one else singing your part, but they sang full out, and it was really, really encouraging. And the students on the computer heard them too. They said, "Oh, that's so cool." So I've never been more happy to put tape on a floor and tape out 10 feet apart for them to sing in the choral room. But a few things that we've done since the beginning of the school year with those ensembles. We put together a virtual holiday concert back in December, which you might have seen, and the students recorded their parts at home, and then Mr. Cardell and I mixed the parts together to put together a virtual choir and virtual band videos for that concert. That's such a special tradition in our community. We wanted to keep that going. And another activity that we did was we were invited to sing for the NAACP MLK celebration by Phyllis Ellis. So concert choir sang "Lift Every Voice and Sing." We put together a virtual choir video of that song, and it was featured in their MLK breakfast back in January. And with that song, we actually incorporated a lesson on the cultural and historical significance of the song and talked about that in class, which was really robust discussion. Some upcoming events, we have our spring concert coming on April 7th. It'll be produced kind of in a hybrid model where the students, we will film them playing along or singing along, not really singing, lip singing, to a recording of the music on the steps of the Fine Arts, and they'll record their parts at home. So Mr. Cardell and I will mix the audio and then overdub that on top of the video of the full ensemble performing. So it looks like they're performing live, and it looks like they're an ensemble. And that's our plan for the spring concert. Then the Pops concert, hopefully in late May, we'll be able to maybe have an outdoor performance live where people can bring a lawn chair or something and watch our students perform our final concert in person. Harmonics, our after-school show choir, has also been rehearsing since the beginning of the school year. We were outdoors in the fall in front of the Fine Arts, and then we moved online when the weather got cold. And now we're back in person using the auditorium and the lobby and the choral room. And that ensemble is a select group of about 18 singers and dancers. This year we're doing a eclectic celebration of dance. We're doing Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge. We're doing I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. We are doing Shake Your Groove Thing by Peaches and Herb, and Can't Stop Dancin' by the Captain and Tennille. So the students are really loving the set, and they're excited to perform that either at the spring concert or the Pops concert. Our other after-school ensemble, the Chamber Singers, has been rehearsing since September as well. It's been on Zoom. This is a group of about 16 singers, and normally they sing together as a chorus. This year, I've reimagined the ensemble to be more of a vocal masterclass, where I've assigned each student an aria or an art song, and they're learning that song at home on their own. And then we're hoping to do a virtual recital where they each sing their assigned piece and put that together for the public later on this spring. A few of our festivals that our students normally participate in still happened. So Senior Districts, which is normally a 2-day festival in January at a local high school in the southeastern part of our state, took place virtually back in January, and we were fortunate to have 21 singers from concert choir accepted into that festival. It was the most number of students in our southeast district, and they spent 2 days on Zoom with about 200 other musicians, working with the conductors and also getting to talk with the composers of some of their pieces, really having a wonderful experience. And they put together a virtual choir and band video, which will be released, I think, next week, actually. From that level, we had 15 singers who scored high enough to audition for the Mass All-State Chorus. And of those 15, 8 students were accepted. And this coming Saturday, they'll also take part in a virtual festival over Zoom for the All-State Festival with the conductors, and I think also the composers of some of their pieces, and put together a virtual concert. And then a week from next Saturday, so March 13th, is the Junior District Festival. And we had 2 students from Brockton High School and 10 of our middle school singers accepted into that festival. So it'll be a similar experience. I think they're bringing in a contemporary a cappella clinician to work with those students in 2 weeks. So a lot's been happening in our department, and we're very thankful to all of you for your support. You know, it can feel isolating for our students working over the computer because there's nothing like that experience of singing in person with other humans. And so we're finally getting back to that, and it's very, very exciting, and we look forward to having a great rest of the year. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'll take over the instrumental portion. Again, my name is Kevin Cardell, and this is my 24th year teaching in Brockton in the instrumental music program. However, this is my first year where I have taken over up at the high school for Mr. Macrina and the advanced concert band. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank him for 24 years of mentoring me and preparing me for that position. Band this year is again very, very similar to the way that the chorus is done. There are two bands at the high school currently. The advanced concert band has 97 students in it, and the concert band has 88 students in it. And again, because of learning remotely, the challenges of being able to play all of our instruments together at the same time. Sometimes it just doesn't work that way. So it has been a lot of individual work for the kids, where I start the class with some breathing exercises, and we do those together, and then we talk about some different aspects of music theory and different kinds of warm-ups and things that they should be doing. And then they're either working on some type of technical exercises that I've given them, or they're working on their band music, which is what they've been doing lately for our upcoming concerts. Again, I didn't change the level of music that was expected for the students. I didn't go any less. So the music that the advanced concert band is playing is very similar to the level of music that Mr. Macrina was choosing for his kids to play over the years. So that's been a challenge for the kids, because they're learning that music again mostly on their own. We do have recordings of the music that they can listen to. I do break the music down into pieces and add a click track to it so that they can keep the beat along with the music. And then they record their parts and they send them to me. And we talk about what went right, what went wrong. And that's usually our Monday through Thursday classes. And then on Friday, as a reward to the kids of, because they're doing a lot during the week, not just for me, but for all of the teachers in the school. We do some kind of fun band Friday activity where we're doing, music bingo, or we're playing. I think the last time we played Jeopardy, and we've done Wheel of Fortune. So different online games that we do, but it's all geared toward music. So as we've been transitioning to our hybrid, as the superintendent spoke about, our DESI requirements say that the band needs to be spaced 10 feet apart. All the wind instruments need to be spaced 10 feet apart. And so we measured the room, the band room, and realized that even at 25%, with the class sizes that I would have had, we wouldn't have been able to fit in the band room. So thank you to Ms. Richards and Mr. Farrellock for switching spaces with us. So Mr. Farrellock took over the band room for his class, and I'm teaching from the stage in the auditorium, and we have all the music stands in the seats spread out 10 feet. And we again welcomed our first group of freshmen in today. There were 10 freshmen that came into class today, and I look forward to hearing those first notes from them. We also had our elementary and middle school programs as well. All of those have been continuing. We do have lessons in the sixth grade that's being taught, the band program in the 7th and 8th grade. And we were also able to start beginners virtually, and I'll tell you that's probably the hardest thing that I've had to do this year, is to try to teach a flute player how to put their fingers in the right place, without being able to say, okay, put your finger there, put your finger there, put your finger there. We've been had to be creative with how we're getting them to learn how to play their instruments, and I'll by talking with a lot of the other instrumental teachers, I know that they're working hard, and a lot of those kids are really succeeding in learning how to play their instruments, and it certainly has taught us some new things about how to approach teaching instruments to the kids. So again, our transition to that 25% hybrid, the DESI also recommends, encourages is the word actually that they use, that the students, while they're playing their instruments, wear a face mask and also have some kind of a covering on their bell of their instruments. We approached Michael, and he's and the district is going to purchase specialized musicians masks that have a slit in the front, so the kids can put their mouthpieces in, and the flutes have a slot on the side that they can slide their head joint into the mask, and also coverings, like I said, for the instruments. And until until the PPE comes in, we're going to be creative with how we cover our bells and cover our masks. We've already been talking with the kids, and I've been experimenting at home with wearing 2 masks and creating a slit that way. So, we should be able to continue with that. The transition to hybrid also has a unique challenge of us. A lot of us in the instrumental department travel from school to school. Again, I'm not only at the high school, but I'm also at the Gilmore School and the Raymond School. So we've been able to work out our schedules so that we don't have to travel from school to school. The elementary students are going to remain virtual. So we were able to work out our schedules to teach those kids, continue to teach those kids at home, so they don't have to worry about bringing their instruments into school and having an extra thing that they have to carry around with them. However, when we do transition to the 50% hybrid, that's going to create a challenge for figuring that out. And also the numbers obviously is also going to be a challenge, because at 25% I'm almost maxed out in the auditorium as it is right now, and moving to 50, we're going to have to figure it out. So we'll probably end up outside, which is good. I like being outside and playing. Some of the after school ensembles that have been taking place at the high school. I know Mr. Macrina is still running the senior jazz ensemble, and they had been rehearsing outdoors in the fall. And again, when it got cold, that ensemble moved to virtual. They were rehearsing virtually with him, and I believe not next week, but the week after that, they're going to start rehearsing again and utilize the auditorium now that we're allowed to play indoors. I did meet with the superintendent and also Dr. Maury, and we are also going to start this week a pep band of about 20-25 kids to play for the home games for the football team. Again, getting those kids together in some capacity is going to be a good thing for them. And as Mr. Cunningham also stated, our transition for our concerts is going to be our spring concert, and which again is going to be virtual. We are going to again edit our own videos audio wise, and then thank you to Brockton, the Brockton Cable Company, for agreeing to come in and do the video portion of it for us. So we're going to set up a video shoot, kind of like an MTV music video kind of thing, where we're lip syncing along to the music that the kids have already played, and they're going to put the videos together for us for that. So and then for our Pops concert, again, hopefully we'll be able to utilize some kind of an outdoor space for that. It'll be nice to have an entire ensemble together, especially since this is the first year that I'm doing that advanced concert band. So again, thank you all for having me here tonight, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the concerts.
Thanks very much, Kevin. Thanks so much, Matt. I do want to say that, let me stop sharing my screen. As they were saying, we have ordered specific PPE for the instruments, and the team has been extremely valuable in offering their input on it. And we've actually looked at ordering masks and the bells for the instruments. So the students are adequately prepared to play indoors. Superintendent Thomas has done an excellent job in providing us outdoor resources. So I've actually ordered canopies for when the weather does get nice. And as Kevin and Matt said, the challenges of going to 50%. If we have to go outside, there will be covering for the teachers. I've already talked to our IT department, and they will boost the internet signal so that the teachers can still do virtual for students as well as in-person learning. This music staff has been extremely hardworking and creative, and not a second has gone by where the students have come in and complained. In fact, they've actually said that they've enjoyed that music is still happening. And Matt said a few minutes ago how we're allowed to sing back in school again. The expression on their faces when they came in, I walked by the classroom, was something that paid for itself. And it's an excellent kickoff for our Music in Our Schools month. So I think, if anything, the students and the teachers have worked extremely hard on this. Thank you to the school committee, thank you to Mike Thomas, and thank you to the principals for working with all the teachers and making sure our schedules can accommodate. And they've worked and been extremely flexible in making sure that we can make this happen with all the magic. But we are looking forward to being in person soon again. Are there any questions or anything? If that's not, that concludes our portion of this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith, Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Cardell. Mrs. Sullivan has a question, please.
Hi, thank you very much. I just wanted to ask the Director of Music, Mr. Michael Smith. I did get some concern from people at the beginning of the pandemic about what's going on in the middle schools for band and chorus. I know, the kids were remote, but I didn't know that the classes were still going on remotely for band and chorus, which I thought was kind of amazing. But there was just like a discrepancy between some of the middle schools weren't getting the same instruction as other middle schools. And I know we like to go clear across the board with and I know there was a new director and everything, but if you could just speak to what the middle schools are doing for band and chorus, because I know there was a concern that we were working on turnaround too, but the kids still need to get their band and chorus, so I was wondering how that is worked in to the schedule. Thank you.
Thank you that's a very good question, and thank you for that. We were faced with staffing concerns at the start of the school year due to Mr. Macrina retiring and several teachers, the reduction in force. We did have a few vacancies throughout the district. And as Kevin said, a lot of the teachers shifted schedules to cover those vacancies. I will say that the good news to report, I've interviewed a teacher that will go to the middle school at East, and if all the paperwork's cleared, they will have a music teacher by the end of next week. And I know that Pluff was in need of they were having asynchronous music lessons. And I interviewed a young lady this week that hopefully that will be fixed as well. It was challenging to find staff in the middle of a pandemic in the spring of the year. We posted positions. I've interviewed the candidates, and we think we have two very strong candidates. So during the fall, there were some challenges that were faced by scheduling, but we covered those, as best we could, and we've actually looked at how we can improve and increase that. So that is why we've had two candidates possibly coming on board, so that every music position will be filled. And Mike Thomas has given us approval to hire another teacher that will give our complement of teachers back to its previous pre-pandemic status. So I hope that addresses your question, but there were some staffing challenges that I think we've addressed.
Okay, so each child that has band and chorus would have it worked into their schedule once these people are hired, right? Okay, well, thank you.
That is our goal. That is our goal. Currently, because they were asynchronous, the schedules were changed due to that fact. But once the staffing is complete, we can then revisit the schedule issue.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Quite welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. D'Agostino, please.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you, all of you, who had the opportunity to see how students who are involved in the arts are managing to be able to participate. And I wanted to say just how impressive it is that we go into this virtual setting. Obviously, here's another example of how, all right, you're not supposed to sing indoors. You can't do this. You can't, how do you function? How do you do that? And again, the teachers, the students, everybody made that shift, to within the state guidance that was offered of how we could do it, make this work. And so much so that we've got shows going on, kids are winning scholarships, there are awards being won. I mean, just really speaks to the level of talent we have, from our kids, but also just the ability of the district and of the kids and teachers to figure out how to make this work, in this kind of unprecedented environment. So just impressed with everything that the kids are doing and the shows that we've seen of them, even though they're virtual and obviously there's nothing better than in person. They're still doing a wonderful job, and I know we appreciate the efforts of all of the staff that are involved with the arts, whether it's art or music or drama. Good things going there. And I know that when the members of the body are all present, I don't typically like to speak for them, but I think everybody will join me in agreeing that if there's anything that we can do to support you guys, is to support the arts in the district. Let us know. We'd certainly be happy to do that. And the last point I want to make, and I think it's a good point to make, because I know some people felt like, what about the arts? We're always approving things for sports. And I think it's an important point to make that the DESE and MIAA rules required them to come to us for approval to have sports. That had to happen. Whereas with the arts, again, the state rolled out the different rules and PPE, but that didn't need school committee approval. They just had to meet the guidance. But at any rate, again, very impressive stuff from our kids, as always, and appreciate the presentation tonight.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Any additional questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Smith.
Thank you very much, and thank you, everyone. Do have a good night.
Thank you all.
Kevin, Matt, Bob, Sarah, thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Back to me.
Yeah, we're back to you on the logo.
Oh, so this is Redesigned Logo. I want to thank our own Jess Hodges for redesigning our logo to bring us back to our school colors. It's actually our district colors, red and black. And then to incorporate, our pledge of diversity, equity, and unity, and obviously incorporate the City of Champions. And then obviously when the Brockton Public Schools was established. So I think it's coming up on the screen. It's also in your packet, but I think Melinda also made us copies as well. Oh, it's up. So this is the proposed new logo. So any questions, or this would change our letterhead, obviously, and
It looks great. Any questions for Superintendent, Mr. D'Agostino, please?
No question, just a comment. I love this. This when you first showed it to me, I mean, I think, my immediate reaction was love it, and I really absolutely love it. It's got our school colors. It's diversity, equity, unity. Those are kind of values that the Brockton Public Schools stands for and instills in our students, and of course we are the City of Champions as always. I mean, it's just everything's there, and I absolutely love this.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Do we need to entertain a motion on it, Mike?
yeah, I mean,
Accept it?
I don't know if it was voted on the last time when it changed, but I thought it was best to bring
Yeah.
it to the committee.
I entertain a motion relative.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. D'Agostino, was seconded by Mr. Sullivan. We'll take a formal vote. The Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Hereby passes. And please give our sincere thanks to Jess Hodges.
Oh, no,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Jess did a great job, so thank you. Next, I think, Mr. D'Agostino, I think I'm handing this one over to you.
Yes, you are. So this item, discussion of Eldon B. Keith Memorial Field, this item's actually currently being vetted by the Facilities Subcommittee consisting of myself, Mr. Sullivan, and the Chair, Joyce Asak. So I was going to make a recommendation that maybe we could table this item until the subcommittee completes its work and submits a report to or a recommendation to the full committee.
Is that the form of a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second on the table motion?
Second.
Motion made, properly seconded. Under Robert's rules, there's no conversation after there's a second on the table, so we'll take the roll call. Vice Chair, Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair D'Agostino.
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Just for, on the record, it really shouldn't even have been on the agenda tonight because it's already been from this committee referred to a subcommittee and it's still in the subcommittee. And it will either come out of that committee favorable or unfavorable back to us. So
Right.
Thank you for bringing that up. D is items to refer to a subcommittee, Mr. Superintendent.
No, just that, it's just that now, obviously, we're in budget season, now that we're opening schools, that every Tuesday, we will have finance meetings from now until we send the budget to the city council. So we would start, obviously, next Tuesday, and then it would be every Tuesday before a regular school committee meeting through March and, obviously, April until we send a budget to the city council.
Is there a proposed time on that?
We would do, Melinda, we do 5:30?
5:30, I think, is what we had talked about, just to make, because some of those budget meetings can get lengthy, and if they're on a night when we have a regularly scheduled school committee meeting, I want to make sure that we don't have to.
Yeah, so it'd be 5:30 in front of a regular school committee, and I think it's 6 if there's no school.
6 on the off weeks, yeah. On the off weeks, it's
6.
not a big deal, but.
Okay. Any questions from members of the committee relative to that matter? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Number 5 on the agenda is unfinished business. Mr. D'Agostino?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to bring just the item from, we had a special school committee meeting held Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. And specifically, agenda item number 3, I wanted to bring before the committee this evening, discussion and vote regarding A, the purchase of school buses, and B, the school finance subcommittee's review of such potential purchases. So Mr. Petronio, our CFO, presented a PowerPoint on the BPS school bus procurement proposal to discuss the costs and benefits of having such. Mr. Sullivan moved to motion to amend the 2021 non-net school spending budget to allocate a total of $5,483,564 from the ordinary maintenance, regular education transportation, and special education transportation items collectively to school department capital for the purpose of the acquisition of school buses and to authorize the purchase of such buses accordingly. Seconded by Mrs. Mendez. And then I called the roll, and it was a unanimous vote in favor of the motion. So I think, do we need a motion to approve?
God bless you. Sure, belts and suspenders, it wouldn't hurt if you want to do that, sure.
All right, so I'll make a motion to accept the report of the special school committee meeting.
Second?
Follow motion, was there a second?
Second.
Mr. Sullivan made a second. It was, on the motion was Mr. D'Agostino. We'll read the roll now. Chair Sullivan says yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Hereby passes. Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Is there anything else relative to unfinished business that we're aware of?
I'm just going to say a quick thank you to Bhs the Ambulance, who's working closely with us through the Department of Education, and also just our partnership with the city. They are doing testing in our schools for all staff, able to go get a rapid test, and if the staff member tests positive, it comes back in 15 minutes. They test positive, they would get a PCR test, and obviously they would leave. So that's available every week at every school. So they rotate, not every day, but they'll, like, it, for an example, you know, they're at 4 or 5 schools on Monday and another 5 schools on Tuesday. So by the end of the week, they have been to every school. They're at each school for 3 hours, and it's for every staff member. So I want to thank Brewster. They have been great to work with, and they have it's done all by their staff, and all the record keeping. So they set up the schedule with Dr. Cobbs and Linda Cahill. And again, today was their first day. We saw them today over at the Key Center, and I really appreciate it. Just another way to help keep everybody safe.
Yeah, and I just want to echo the sentiments as well. I want to thank Dr. Linda Cahill and all the school nurses. As you know, they've been unbelievable partners with the City Board of Health, with the 3 nurses we have on the city side, and Dr. Eno Monteser. As you know, that they were assisting us for almost a year now on contact tracing. And then the Red Cafeteria, and I want to thank again Dr. Cliff Murray and Ken Thompson and Jamie Domestico and Jim Cobbs and Kerry Cobbs and everybody involved, and of course Mike Thomas for allowing us to use the Red Caf and Red IRC
relative to vaccine rollout. Now, the good news is because we're back in hybrid, we've pivoted and we've left Brockton High School, but we're at the Shaw Center, and we're still doing our city clinics with not a lot of quantity. This week we'll be getting 500, but it's 500 shots that can save lives. But the beautiful thing is we're collaborating now with Neighborhood Health Center. President Biden chose Brockton Neighborhood Health Center to be a federal recipient of vaccines. So they'll be getting between 3,000 and 4,000 vaccines per week. So Neighborhood Health Center, Sue Joss, Dr. Chelly, is working with my office and Dr. Herman and Dr. Montesser and Steve Hook, and we're combining our efforts at the Shaw Center. We'll have both entities up there on Wednesday. We did 3 clinics up there last week. Neighborhood Health Center is Monday, Tuesday, and then as of tomorrow, we'll all be up there. But the beautiful thing and the great thing is that because of the President's designation, we have 10 National Guard members that are clinicians that are giving the shots. School nurses are not going to be able to help now because they're back in the school helping the boys and girls. So this is a game changer for us. So I just wanted everybody to know that we are working diligently. We'll still get our allotment on the city side, and the Neighborhood Health Center will get their federal allotment and their state allotment. But this is the way we're going to roll it out, and it's really, really going to be something that's going to continue to help Brockton. And it's right now geared for Brockton residents only. But again, if you've signed up on the city website, please be patient. You will be getting called from either the Board of Health or Neighborhood Health Center. The online pre-registration informational sheet changed Friday night, and now it's going to be geared towards Neighborhood Health Center because they have about 16 people making calls. So just want to give updates on that. But again, I want to thank you, Mike, and the school nurses, and Dr. Cahill for her leadership, and thank you.
Thanks.
Any other new business before us?
Mayor. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Sullivan, please.
Just one question, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Could you give a quick COVID update?
Sure, yep. Unfortunately, the sad news, 403 loss of life.
Wow.
We lost another one last night. We're at 403 dead. Our first loss of life was last March 29th. That was loss number 1. So we're almost to the year anniversary right now. We're at 403 dead. We're at 11,959 total cases in Brockton, almost 12,000. If we look at our population on the books, it's 98,000. So we're well over 10% of our population. And right now, 2,523, meaning 2,523 residents, have active positive cases of COVID. So even though we're doing the rollout and we're saving lives and we're giving the shot in the arm, we have to continue to be diligent and vigilant with the masks.
Are we still in the red?
We're still in the red.
Still in the red.
So good question. Thank you for bringing that, Mr. Sullivan. Dr. Herman was really excited because there was a chance we were going to be in yellow. But Brockton has a population of over 50,000. So the 5.0 is any municipality that is 49,000 and lower. Of course, we surpassed that. If we had been in there, we would have been yellow last week. We're at 4.01. We have to be under 4 to be in yellow. So we're getting there, but we're not there yet.
Yep.
Yeah, we still have 5 sick people in the ICU at both Good Sam and Brockton Hospital.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. D'Agostino.
So under new business, I just wanted to get a consensus from the members of the committee for a retreat for March 27th. It's a Saturday from 8 to 1 o'clock. The proposed format would be similar, exactly the same as this meeting. We'd be right here in this room. Guests coming in through Zoom, and obviously, if for health reasons any committee member had concerns, they'd also have that option of Zoom. So we'd follow the exact same format that we did this evening, but I want to make sure everybody's available for that Saturday. Is there any objection? Is that all right with everybody?
We can also, members could also Zoom in as well.
Oh, yeah, yes, absolutely. Like I said, yep. So yeah. All right, sounds like that works. So we'll just plan for that and move that forward.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino.
Thank you.
What time is that?
8 a.m.
8 a.m.?
Yeah, we'll run 8 to 1 like we typically do, yeah.
Yeah, 8 will be, 8 to 8:30 is breakfast, and then 8:30 would start the meeting. So.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Any additional new business? If not, we'll go on the agenda. And number 7 on the agenda is executive session, and we do not have any scheduled for this evening. So I just wanted to let you know that. And number 8 is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion
Second.
made by Mr. Sullivan, probably second by Mr. Sullivan. We'll read the roll. The chair says yes. Vice Chair? Yes. Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello? Yes. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night. Stay safe.